Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I have the groaner of the morning. This is the groaner of the week. Listen carefully, if you would, please. A group of chess enthusiasts checked into a hotel, and they were standing in the lobby discussing their recent tournament victories. After about an hour, the manager came out of the office and asked them to disperse. But why, they asked as they moved off. Because, he said, I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer. I love it. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America. Groan, groan. Good morning. Call in with the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on. Oh, good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. And now, here's our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Don't say a word about my groaner.
It was the peak of my morning. Let me tell you that.
You don't have very high peaks in your life, do you?
You can tell. That's pretty good.
Okay, buddy. Give us the pledge, please.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy. Thank you. And right now it's time to go to the weather from our friends, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Oh, they sent us a bunch of tips over here so that we can talk about home decor. Are you looking for a country attitude for your house? Well, look for small prints and plaids, exposed wood beams, distressed wood, and soft colors. Yeah, country themes. They've got it all for you. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. And right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Thursday, January 12th. And with the sun shining, the temperatures are dropping, and that's going to be creating some slick conditions out there as we have a lot of standing water in the roadways and just pretty much everywhere. Looks like partly cloudy skies for today, high of 26. Tonight we are looking at a low of 7. Tomorrow, as we head on into the weekend, mostly sunny skies, high of 20. Overnight low of 5. For the weekend itself, partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-teens, lows in the low single digits, right around 2 degrees. And then as we head on into the work week on Monday, partly cloudy skies, high of 19, overnight low of 3. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you. Great job. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yes, whatever you need to make your house a home. Look for the blue door at Cheney Fellini Flooring and Home Design. Merv May, come on in here. Let's sell some cattle. Go ahead, buddy.
It gets the steer calves there here to $1.31.
That's the chant of the world's best auctioneer, in my opinion, Merv May, along with Kay Draghi and Lance Udy, all of those folks and the crew working for the sale that works for you. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Sale time today at 10:30, and the number to call for consignment information, sale information, 678-9411. Now, I do know so far that they've got really some ripping good cattle coming from Rick and Colton Robinson up at Oakley. 250 head of 5.5 to 700 pound cattle coming in. And Kim Kildew up at Melba bringing in 25 head of 550 pound heifers. And then we've got P-Bar S bringing in some butcher cows, about 25 head, and a great trailer line run. Now, don't worry, they're going to have a sale. A lot of people were thinking, whoa, what about the water? Well, they've been pumping all day, all night for the last couple of days. Everything's good to go at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Sale time, 10:30 this morning, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, 678-9411. Merv, let's sell those steers.
All right, it gets the steer calves there here to $1.31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 130, 550, 135, 7.35. Zeb Bell, get the bottom again.
Oh, thank you, Merv. Appreciate it. By the way, I want to stop right here, and we are and have been very fortunate over at my place with the flooding and the water. Not anything like what many of you are suffering this morning. My heart goes out to you. I want you to know, and I mean this with all sincerity, my wife and I extend the very best to you folks. After I read the stories and saw personally a lot of the water and the damage and the extra stress and worry it puts on families, new homes, properties. I mean, the picture in the paper this morning of Ray Schmidt out there at Burley trying to pump water away from his buildings and his horses and everything. Man, alive. I mean, this just really hit hard with a lot of people. And God bless every one of you. And believe me, you're in our prayers that there's not a lot of damage done. So there you go. You're doing the best you can. And we certainly are pulling for you. I mean that. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, the number to call. They throw open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, and they stay open until 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday. They want to serve you. They will serve you, and they've got all your heating and electrical needs. Now, you know it's going to get a little colder this week, and we're going to be back down there on the bad side of the thermometer, and you better make sure your furnace is going to run right. Check out all the furnace filters right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And once again, remember, they are always providing you with warm winters and cool summers. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, I got to get this in, because every time I start talking about this, I get so hungry when I start talking about Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. You can build your own sampler. Did you know that? Loaded with bacon, cheddar tots, zesty nachos. Oh, it's just delicious. And try all the pancake specials they've got going on. Oh, man. I mean, you're going to love the people. You're going to absolutely love the menu and all the choices at 611 Overland in Burley, and also at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Really good folks. Okay, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I did watch and listen to the nomination hearings yesterday, especially the one for Jeff Sessions. I caught a little bit of Tillerson, about 25, 30 minutes of it, and but I have other things that I have to do. But I absolutely was enthralled by the hearing for Jeff Sessions, and I'm going to tell you why. Some of the blacks that were testifying yesterday against Jeff Sessions, they were the ones that were bigoted and racist. Oh, I mean, Representative Lewis, and then they had another guy that I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes that was absolutely ridiculous, Cedric Richmond, and then the kicker was Cory Booker. You know, it was nothing more than a staged, gotcha, planned attack. And Cedric Richmond, this guy from Louisiana, I don't know how they select, and it really doesn't matter to me, how they select the order of testifying at these hearings. I don't know if they draw names out of a hat. I know that they go the pro, the con, and back and forth like that, you know, who's in favor, who's not against, or who's against. But Cedric Richmond was the last man to testify for the naysayers yesterday. And Cedric is from Louisiana, and all he did the first couple of minutes of his speech, his testifying, was just absolutely gripe, complain. There's other words I want to use, but I can't. Gripe and complain because he was the last one. I mean, he griped because he was to go last. He thought that his message and what he had to say was so much better than anybody else's. He griped about the placement of him being last to testify. That was enough to turn your stomach. But then there was Representative Lewis, which always brings up the racial attitudes. But last caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Last but not least, we talked about Cory Booker from New Jersey. What an absolute blatant attempt to put himself in the limelight, because it's now knowledge that he is going to try to run as a black candidate for president in 2020. It was just nothing more of, hey, world, see me, listen to me. It was pathetic. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
That's exactly right. It was pathetic. And you see, you always say to yourself, who believes this stuff? And who, you know, is foolish enough to, you know, but I guess you just say to yourself, how many fools or in the tank people are there that still exist? I know this, that as Donald Trump goes on, more and more people are changing their mind and realizing that he is very serious about everything he said. And so you have Cory Booker on the other side in a desperate attempt to put himself in the limelight. And then you've got Donald Trump seizing control of the press conference. And I said, you know, he just doesn't waste a lot of words on political correct speech. He just spits it out. And I don't know how many times yesterday I just broke out laughter at that press conference.
Well, Randy, in all fairness, I want to say this before we get off the fact of the testifying at the hearing.
Yeah,
they just hang on just a second. But they go back and forth with the cons, the naysayers, and then they go over to the positive people that want to see him as the Attorney General. There were some very professional, very dignified, very polite black men that were lawyers and doctors and politicians, and they got up there and in a very, very professional, profound voice, they absolutely sung praise for Jeff Sessions. And it was so obvious that the naysayers were nothing more than a bunch of, if you will, witch hunters that were going out trying to just do everything they could to throw mud at Sessions, and the naysayers, were the real racists and bigots.
Always. And again, who believes this stuff? Well, less people believe it now than did a year ago.
Yeah, but
I think
really
will go into the inner cities, and he will really give opportunities to the blacks, Hispanics, and yesterday at the press conference, he inadvertently said, after 8 years, you know, I will, whatever it was he said, but he just, you know, he was already confident that he will be reelected. And America is changed forever, and what the liberals have worked so hard to do since the 50s is being slashed and burned. And thank God.
Yeah. Randy, it should be noted, too, that Jeff Sessions, I've run kind of a personality profile of this guy. And all of his records, all of his past history and everything, this man is quite a man. He's really a dignified Southern gentleman. And I have to say that those like Cory Booker, and Cory Booker would have never, ever broke what is a tradition of never having a senator say another bad thing about another senator. He would have never done that, and I put this out to you, if it weren't for the fact that the Democrats and the left are trying to push him into the possible nomination for presidency in 2020. It was nothing more than a smear campaign that was geared to elevate Booker, and I think it put him in the gutter.
Well, it did, and at this point, let's face it, when Trump speaks or tweets, people listen.
Yeah, so does CNN.
I mean, let's face it. He is running the show, baby.
Yeah, you got that right. Randy, it's good to hear from you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, I've just been, this weather and the work, and it is just, thank God we have the weather, but it makes life a little difficult.
Oh, boy. I agree with that. Hey, listen, man, call again. Thanks.
You bet.
All right, take care. Hey, don't forget, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, there was absolute, well, you could see it, racism and bigotry displayed by the left and the blacks that were testifying against Jeff Sessions yesterday. It was absolutely sickening. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they can help you get back to being and feeling like you. What a friendly staff. I mean that. And all the exercises, sports medicine, hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area. And all the physical therapists that really know their stuff. They know their stuff and they can help you. Call for an appointment today. 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, absolutely the best. Later on this morning, we're going to have Juan from Barry Equipment and Rental on our program. Yeah, over there at the 159 West Highway 30 location in Burley. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. They've got locations on South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the one I just mentioned, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they've got all the Doosan loaders. Boy, right now, the dairies and the feedlots, got a lot of getting rid of all the manure, the mud. It's just a mess. So please check out those Doosan loaders. They got some great used ones there. Equipment rentals, retail equipment sales at Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley. And we're going to have Juan from the Burley store on with us a little bit later on this morning. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I will admit, and I'm anxious to talk to Rita Ramsey a little bit later on about this morning. I was enthralled with the Trump news conference yesterday. Wow. There is a story, and if you're not aware, I'm not going to go into all the dotting of the I's and crossing the T's of this fake news story about maybe a possible behind-the-scenes goody-goody handshake or agreements and business agreements with Russia. And the story has no legs. The story has no legs, it has no truth, it has no backbone, no spine. It was just a typical big, flat lie, fake news story. Okay? That being said, it was perpetrated by an organization called BuzzFeed. And then it was further perpetrated because it didn't have any substantiated facts, nothing had been verified, etc., by CNN. Okay, so yesterday, if you didn't see it, the CNN news reporter sitting in the front row, and he was honestly very rude. He would have never, nor would have anyone else in the press corps, I think, would have acted with the rudeness to Obama that this man did from CNN. Just kept interrupting him, kept absolutely shouting over him, and demanding that the president-elect come back to him and ask a question. And Trump basically finally had enough of the guy and said, I'm not going to talk to you because you're fake news. And boy, was that a slap in the face to CNN. It was really fun to watch. And if this is and a lot of people took offense at that. I listened to some of the borderline journalists last night of various networks, and someone said, why, that's despicable that a president-elect would act that way. Well, that was just absolutely showing his disregard for the press. Wait a minute. They ran a phony story, a lie, if you will, about Trump and his people that work for him. Now, put yourself, and I'm not going to always do this, stand up for Trump in all situations, but I am in this case. Put yourself in the position that your neighbor or somebody else in your community started a phony, bad, negative story about you. Are you going to just take it, turn the other cheek when it could damage your career, your job, your family, etc.? Or are you going to go to the source and let them know that is it? Enough, nada, stop. No more. Well, that's kind of what Trump did yesterday. And I don't blame him at all. I found it to be, listen, don't you step on my toes, because I'll guarantee you I'll double step on yours. You'll never dance again. And I liked the attitude yesterday because I think he put the press in their place. That has been so much in bed with Obama, with softball questions and just absolutely kind of a vanilla approach to everything. I liked it. And I think the press is on notice right now. You better be honest. You better be straightforward. And if you're not, bam, the door's going to get closed. Calls welcome, 436-2244. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay with me just about 30 seconds. I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't get mad and go away. Want to remind you about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Hello, Dr. Christine Pickup. She is so knowledgeable about hearing and sound and everything. Oh, my. I learn something every time I talk to her. I suggest heartily that if you're having some hearing problems, you give her a call at 312-0957. Make an appointment today for a hearing screening. You will thank me. I guarantee you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number 312-0957. The only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in Southern Idaho, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, my friend.
Yeah, that was, well, it was well-deserved.
Yeah.
It was. And you think back about it, I think Obama trashed Fox News over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Any one of the news conferences or the news deals that Obama done, I don't remember very many, if any, Fox reporters getting a question.
Well, in fairness to what you just said, for heaven's sakes, all of a sudden his name left me. Ed Henry. Ed Henry, as the White House correspondent at that particular time, and now that job has been assumed by somebody else, I do remember where he would stand and acknowledge, the point that he was going to ask some questions. I'm not saying every news conference, but it was almost like Obama would look at Ed Henry, and I can prove this if you'll get a chance to look at some past tapes, and it was almost a grudging acknowledgement of, yeah, I better ask him a question or I'll get all kinds of more bad press. It was kind of like, oh, yeah, go ahead, Ed. And so I say that I have seen this happen, though.
Yes. Yeah, there was that one when Henry first took it over, or when Obama was first president.
Yeah.
They had a
Yeah.
back and forth, but it was a civil back and forth.
Yeah.
It wasn't trying to interrupt. It wasn't trying to, claim. And also, too, in that news conference with Trump, CNN had already asked a question.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, though, and you're a real level-headed guy. I respect you. But when you're hammered over something that didn't happen, you didn't do, the story has no legs, the story has no value of truth, and some guy in the front row is starting to yell at you that he never would have done with Obama. I mean, no way. Do you blame Trump for telling him basically to shut up, sit down, and be a good boy and go in the corner?
Trump was very polite and professional. And the guy kept pushing and pushing, and then Trump finally just had enough, and he just told him,
Yeah.
"You're fake news. I'm not calling on you." The guy had to ask for it. Had he just shut up, first time Trump says, "No, I'm not. I'm this lady over here." But he didn't.
Yeah.
And when you push so far, you're going to get your nose busted.
And that's really the truth. And, maybe it might turn out. Let's just be really open and fair here, Doug. It might pan out in the 100 days that are going to be following after his inauguration, that in 100 days you and I and others might get on this radio program and we might say, oh my goodness, what have we done? Oh my goodness, he's not the president we thought he would be. Oh my goodness, we're sorry that he's president. Now that might happen. I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. But I will say this. I like the fact that he is making people aware that he's not going to take abuse, he's not going to take their guff, and he's going to call them out when he thinks they have been unfair. That part so far I really like.
Well, and America likes it. America really likes it that he's telling people, I'm not going to be your punching bag.
Yeah.
You punch me, you're going to get hit back. And America likes the way he is standing up. He's saying what over 50% of America has said.
Yeah, but Doug,
is enough.
Doug, this correlates not just to President-elect Donald Trump. This goes right down the food chain to the senators and the congressmen and the county commissioners and your civic leadership. All of these people need to develop a backbone of what is right and what is wrong, and not smear the two between in the middle.
Exactly. They need to remember why the people put them there.
That's right.
What they said they would do when they was running for election.
That's right.
We're going to do this and do it. Have integrity, stand up for what you said.
Amen. Amen.
And besides that, you do not represent yourself back there. You represent the people that put you there. So if you feel it should go a different way, and your constituents want it the other way, you better vote the other way.
Well, we've been very fortunate on this program to have a lot of the political leadership, nationwide, statewide, local, whatever, on our program. But I'm going to say it again this morning, and for those out there that have cursed me, some even to my face, for my attitude against Mike Simpson and not coming on this program and not calling me and trying to arrange a time to visit with you, the constituents, I hold it against him. And until he does, I'm not going to be the dog chasing the parked car.
Exactly. That's exactly, and I don't blame you one bit. And every time I call back and upset about something, and I talk to Simpson's staff, you never get to talk to Simpson, they said, well, we'll send you a letter. What's your address? And I said, save that form letter. Save my taxpayers' dollars on that stamp. I says, and have him call me. I says, and if he won't call me, have him call Zeb Bell so he can address this issue.
Yeah, and what really bugs me, and this is not brag, it's a fact, or I wouldn't say it. And some people will be offended by this, but that's their problem, not mine. I've got the most listened to program in this time slot of any radio program anywhere in the area, anywhere. And I'll tell you something, if he wants to just avoid talking to his constituents and giving them information because he's got an axe to grind against me over comments that were made 2 years ago, it's about time he put his big boy pants on and forgot about it.
I agree with you 100%. Yep, I agree 100%. Anyway, you got a caller waiting, and just a quick reminder, everybody support your senior centers.
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
Donate for Meals on Wheels, whatever you can do.
I appreciate it, Doug. Thank you so much. Thanks. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference is starting in less than a half an hour. Well, it's already started, actually, and they're in full swing. And in about a half an hour, we're going to have one of the ladies in charge of setting this whole thing up. The Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference started at 8 o'clock this morning. You got plenty of time to get there. Hurry up. Get on in. All the latest information in the irrigation industry, and it's free, and it's from 8 to 4:30 today at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center. No registration is required. Get there now at the Burley Inn for the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I just have a quick minute, but I just wanted to make a note that Obama and Hillary, they handpicked which press people get to even be invited to their events.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Everybody.
How does that make you feel?
He lets everybody in and
Right.
didn't let anybody out.
How does that make you feel as a person that wants to hear diversified questions and maybe not all from the conservative right? You want to hear some questions from the liberal left. You want to kind of weigh and balance what's being done in the news. How does it make you feel when you know that at an Obama press conference, it's about 99 and 9/10 pure that they're going to throw vanilla softballs at Obama?
Well, you know they are, and they don't ask the hard questions, that's for sure. And I think we've been proven that they get their questions ahead of time even, and even submit what questions they'd like to be asked.
That really is the truth.
Okay.
That really is the truth.
It's heartening to see how rude that reporter was and how disrespectful.
I agree. It's nice to hear from you, and I certainly hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless you. Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice lady right there. Appreciate that. I don't mind if it's a mixed field, if you will. I don't want to hear all the conservative stuff all the time. I don't. No. I want to hear a balance. Maybe there's a point to be made by the left that has been overlooked. Maybe there's a point to be made by the right that needs to be heard and kind of thought about in the balance of things. You can't just have tunnel vision on this. But with the last 8 years with Obama, these reporters have actually kowtowed to them. What's your favorite ice cream? What? I could not care less. In the state of world affairs with ISIS and all the economy that's falling apart at the seams, an additional $10 trillion in debt and national security and everything else, for some goofy, absolutely goofy reporter, what's your favorite ice cream? Fire that woman for that stupid question. Don't forget Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, and they sponsor Dr. History every Tuesday right here at 10:06. Yep, Dr. History. And thank you, Zach and the whole crew. They've got all your carpeting and luxury vinyl planking, and they've got your lumber, and they've got your western windows to keep the cold air outside. And they can help line up a contractor to do the installation work right there at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, 878-2091. All right, calls are welcome. Come on, your turn. Don't you let me down. You give me a call real quick at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about Cadillac One? I mean, this is really impressive. Cadillac One is the automobile. If you want to call it an automobile, it's kind of like a Sherman tank. Cadillac One is the president's car. And they have done a new twist and turn and update of Cadillac One for President Trump. And the Secret Service calls this car the Beast. It looks like a Cadillac Escalade, but honestly, the people that have seen and toured and looked at the car, they call it an armored tank with a sedan body. And the new version of Cadillac One, listen to this. will have a Kodiak medium-duty truck frame with custom-made body panels. The doors, each door weighs 800 pounds. I'm not making this up. They said that the frame in the car can withstand most roadside bombs because it has a steel plate running underneath the entirety of the whole vehicle. And it's not merely a defensive vehicle to just get in and try to survive. It's also got its own outgoing firepower. There are numerous tear gas cannons. There are numerous shotguns. There are numerous stores and caches of weapons and ammunition. It has a night vision camera. And I did not know this, but they've thought of everything for the security and safety of the president. Inside the limo of Cadillac One, there are bottles of blood matched to the president, as well as a complete oxygen supply. Now, the doors are 20 centimeters thick armor, and they've got steel rims on the wheels, and that means that the car can continue to drive even if the tires are totally destroyed. It can still maintain its speed and still maintain control. And the tires, they are Kevlar reinforced and puncture and shard resistant. All of this on Cadillac One. Whew, wow. Okay, now you know. And it probably gets the gas mileage of, 1 mile to the gallon? I don't know. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How'd you like to have that car to tour around Murtaugh? That'd be quite a deal. Anyhow, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, too, about Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Oh, yeah. Listen to this. Dan, Ken, the whole crew, Kenny owns that, and I tell you what, Kenny Rogers, great people. And you just got a little ding in your car, or a big ding in your pickup, and you want to get that taken care of, well, get a hold of them. They accept all insurances, get an estimate, schedule for repair, and these great guys are going to make your vehicle look like brand new. Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. You get a hold of them today. While we are waiting for your calls, I am going to do a little weather... We'll take this call first. You have the number one rating. There you go. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Well, there's an issue that's going to be coming up. George Soros and his wolf pack has been sponsoring, putting money into this conference of states to promote an Article 5 constitutional convention. And it just amazes me that Idaho representative legislature even would think about considering a constitutional convention. When you see the wolves out there, like George Soros. By the way, I saw a really interesting cartoon. It shows George Soros. He said, I spent $300 million to get Hillary elected, and all I get was a Hillary T-shirt. So I thought that was funny because that's how much money he pumped into that campaign. Yeah. And he's pumping this money into, but we need phone calls to Speaker Scott Bedke right there in your backyard to tell him that he could put the kibosh on this. Because as Speaker, he can control any legislation that comes up. But it seems like every year, this Conference of States, this is a top-down deal. There's nobody in Idaho that I know of wants a constitutional convention. This is coming top. John Kasich, Mark Levin, these people, I don't know what they've been drinking or smoking, but they've been fomenting this lie that we're going to correct and balance the budget by having a convention when we would throw it open to the wolves like the George Soros people.
I agree with you.
We just need to really get those phones ringing to Bedke and the local representatives in your area and throughout the state, wherever you're at, and just say, stop this nonsense. Don't even consider it. It is totally ludicrous, because even if you passed a balanced budget amendment, say they had a convention and the only thing that happened was the balanced budget amendment, there's so many exclusions. If you're in war, they can pass an unbalanced budget. Guess what? We're in war with ISIS, so they can spend all the money they want. It's just an excuse to get the Constitution on the table, and if it happens, if we have a Constitutional Convention, and we only need 6 or 7 more states, and it will happen.
Well, Adrian, I got to jump in on you.
States and George Soros and well-meaning but misinformed conservatives, rhino Republicans or whatever, are pushing this thing, and it needs to stop.
I agree with you. I've got to get
it wasn't true, but we need to get Bedke can stop it. As Speaker of the House, he can kill a thing immediately, come out and say we're not even going to consider this. But unfortunately, I don't know why we seem to have to bring this up every legislative session, and it's just needs to stop.
All right, I appreciate your call, Adrian. I got to get a weather forecast in here, but I absolutely agree with you that I think anytime we allow a tinkering, a kind of a twisting and turning of our original document, I'm very fearful. Thank you for your call. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Yeah, well, everybody get hold of Bedke down there and tell him you stop this constitutional Article 5 thing. Thank you very much.
You betcha. Thank you. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Kyle, there is one of the nicest people that you would ever want to meet or have the opportunity to visit with. Kyle James and all of his staff that he has for all 3 locations. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. And don't forget, have you got your flu shot yet? Please. A lot of flu season left. Please don't forget that. And, of course, infections, lacerations, you need a stitch or two, slip and trip and kind of hurt yourself a little bit, allergies acting up. Minor emergencies, major care at the Urgent Cares. Open 7 days a week. Here now, Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Thursday, January 12th. And with the sun shining, the temperatures are dropping, and that's going to be creating some slick conditions out there as we have a lot of standing water in the roadways and just pretty much everywhere. Looks like partly cloudy skies for today, high of 26. Tonight we are looking at a low of 7. Tomorrow, as we head on into the weekend, mostly sunny skies, high of 20. Overnight low of 5. For the weekend itself, partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-teens, lows in the low single digits, right around 2 degrees. And then as we head on into the work week on Monday, partly cloudy skies, high of 19, overnight low of 3. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow! Why can't we just have a weather forecast that says, hey, today it's going to be sunny, it's going to get up there around 40 or so, no more snow, no more rain, It doesn't look like that's going to happen for a while. Hey, the weather brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Did you hear, and you probably all know, how many of you folks out there have heard of the LL Bean Company? You know, you get those. They have got some really great clothing and boots, and it's kind of the outdoor store, if you will. And, man, I've got a lot of stuff from the LL Bean Company. Well, Linda Bean, I want to make this story kind of short and sweet here. I know we don't have a lot of time, and I'd like you to respond. Linda Bean is the granddaughter of the company's founder, and she's 75 years of age. And she has been a frequent contributor to conservative causes, and she made a $60,000 donation to a Trump-supporting PAC called Making America Great Again. Okay, fine, no problem. Holy cow. Some of the other members of the Bean family And the liberal left were outraged when they heard that she, Linda, had contributed $60,000 for Trump, and now they're asking for a boycott of the company. They want to see her get thrown out as the leader of the company. They want to have her absolutely ostracized from having anything to do with it. And the left is saying don't buy their goods, don't pick up their magazine, don't make any orders because they supported Donald Trump. But 4 years ago, the LL Bean Company donated to Obama. That was okay. But it just is absolutely in your face that if anybody contributes to a conservative candidate or a conservative cause, oh my goodness, the pigs are dying, the chickens won't lay eggs, everything's going to heck in a handbasket. And so, therefore, we have to have a condemnation of the people that wrote that check, and we have to boycott their business. Isn't this sick? And here is proof. I saw the lady a couple of days ago on television, and like I said, she's very outspoken, and the interview, and she was on again this morning on Fox News, too. The interviewer said, well, are you going to weaken, or are you going to kind of just turn the business over and run? And she said, absolutely not. I love that. Wheels, did you just tell me I had a caller?
No, sir. I was listening to what you were talking about.
Oh, I thought I heard that cow moo. And I guess that's not good for an old man like me to hear cows mooing because that's a sign of bad things. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Have you ever heard of anything so doggone crazy in your life? Here in America, the land of the free, supposedly, and they make a contribution of $60,000 to the Trump campaign. Oh my goodness! Why, they're contributing to the devil. We've got to stop them. We've got to stop their business. This is insane. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that I go to my desk after this program, dig out my LL Bean catalog, and I'm going to order something more, even if I don't need it, in support of Linda Bean and LL Bean in general. How dare they? All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, every day I get on this program, and I really do thank the good Lord above that I have got the cream of the crop of sponsors and advertisers. And when I talk about my major sponsor, of course, that means I am talking about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Now, man alive, I mean, with the snow we've had already, and they're saying we're going to get more, you'd better stop in and check out all the snow and the ice tires to get you through the muck and the yuck and everything else. They've got all the tires you need. And they've got I've said this before and I'll say it again, they got a neat little winter driving resource guide that tells you how to drive in the winter conditions and what about your batteries and tire chains and everything else. Very interesting. We'll get in there today at any one of the 7 locations, not only for your tires, but also for the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and yes, like I said, batteries. They got the best. And you'll be so glad you did. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yes, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, your turn. Got time for one quick call. Give me a jingle. Coming up next hour. Oh, there's that call. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you?
Oh, I want to just say kudos to you for helping LL Bean out. I shopped their catalog a lot, and their stuff is very nice.
Yep.
And reasonably priced. And I think that I'm going to do a free advertisement for them. They just have such good quality.
Yes, they do.
It'd be crazy to fall for that she's such a bad person that you can't shop there anymore. she must be a great person.
Yeah, but Chris, real quick, and I've only got a minute left before I got to go to the news. This is not the only story that we've heard like this. We've heard goofy, loony restaurant owners say that if you vote for Donald Trump, we don't want you to eat in our restaurant. I mean, this is crazy what's going on in this country.
Well, then let's all get I voted for Donald Trump badge and just crowd every restaurant.
I agree with you. You know, it should be an in-your-face where you walk in the business, and if somebody's going to ask you, did you vote for Donald Trump? First of all, it's none of their business, and second of all, I'm going to say, yeah, what do you want to do about it?
Yeah. No, the American dream is that we give everybody a chance. And when we start discriminating, then we start looking like other countries in the world where the government governs from the top down, not from the bottom up.
I agree. Very well stated. I hate to be so rude and cut you off, but I got to go to the news. God bless you, dear lady. Call me again. I appreciate it.
I will.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice lady. Got to run to the news. Next from CBS. We'll be back in about 6 minutes. Don't go away. Wheels, take it away. Oh, goody, goody, goody. Here we go. Hour number 2. And Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
They are always at our disposal, getting rid of our garbage. I'm telling you, get on the route service, and they're there. It's just like clockwork, and every week you can wave goodbye to your garbage. Bye! Never see you again. And they are great at their job. Please, they've got dumpsters, they've got all the porta potties, they've got the different mobile outfits, storage containers. Oh my goodness, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You call them today at 734-6969. Every day we start the program, we start it with a weather forecast from Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Whatever you need to make your house a home, give them a call, stop in, look for the blue door, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Right now, let's head on down to the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. A lovely lady. Good morning, Kyla. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you? Are you staying dry out there?
You know, really, we've had a lot of melting snow. We've had a lot of water problems getting into the feedlot and then also up by the barn. But, boy, we are blessed far more than some of the folks over in the Burley-Rupert area. It's really bad over there.
There's a lot of folks that I'm really proud to say are just being great neighbors and great community members, and they are really stepping up to the plate, helping out with sandbags, helping out with pumps, helping to get people connected to what they need to try to keep things dry. We've had several businesses I know that are putting on a good fight to keep that water at bay, and I just want to say I'm real proud to live in this community. It's been something to watch, to see how everyone is trying to help each other out. And, obviously people have been calling the chamber here and, trying to get requests for pumps or just get connected with people. We are happy to help with that. But just real proud of a lot of people in this community doing some really nice stuff for other folks.
Absolutely. Now, what is on the burner for us to discuss and highlight this morning?
Oh, my goodness. Well, besides the water issues, I'm glad the kids are back in school. And also we have our annual chamber banquet coming up on Thursday, January 26th, 6 p.m. Tickets are available here at the chamber. You can either call us and get your tickets, or you can, ask to be invoiced for your tickets, whatever works for you. Be at the Best Western Plus Burley Inn and Convention Center. And it should be just a really neat evening. We give out, awards for Ambassador of the Year with the Chamber, Chamber Volunteer of the Year, Chamber Member of the Year. And we have some lifetime awards that are going to be awarded to 2 special people this year. So we're just encouraging folks, maybe take a breather and come on out for January 26th. Give us a call, 679-4793, to get your ticket.
Okay.
And then I really want to highlight this. We have a fabulous partnership with CSI here in Mini-Cassia, the Small Business Development Center out of CSI, and the University of Idaho Extension Office, offering QuickBooks Pro, which is a neat class for anyone who has any type of accounting duties or bookkeeping duties. If you need to brush up on this, it's a 5-night class. They're not consecutive nights, but it's $120, which is really quite inexpensive for this class, and it's going to be offered right here at the CSI Mini-Cassia Center. So the class is filling up fast, and I would encourage anyone who's interested, give us a call today so you can reserve your spot.
Sounds good to me. You're right there on top of everything at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. And by the way, I want to highlight again the friendly people over there, your staff, and you also have that very unique, underline that word, gift shop. So all of that at the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. Thanks, Deb.
Anything else you want to hit real quick? I've got about a minute left.
Oh, my gosh. We just want to thank everyone in the community for helping each other out, especially when so many folks are just looking out at a lake right now and just wondering, how am I going to clean this mess up? Thank you so much for just being great supports in the community. And Zeb, thanks for all that you do, too.
Well, you're very welcome. And now, as we always wrap up our conversation, Kyla's going to give us all 7,320 ways to contact the Chamber.
Okay, well, maybe just a couple today, but you can always get a hold of us here at the Chamber of Commerce. Get online to check out the event calendar, minicashiachamber.com, or give us a call, 679-4793. Our office is right here in Heyburn, right off 7th Avenue, so we'd love to see you.
All right, Kyla, God bless, thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful week, okay?
Thank you so much, Deb. You take care.
All right, thank you much. Nice lady. All of them are really nice over there at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family and staff. Oh, I mean, they really are serving you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there. They're always there to serve you, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please call them at 436-5636 and get more information about planning guides to help alleviate a lot of the stress and worry for your family. Please do that today. Call them at 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, serving you and your family. Right now, we're going to go to the telephone again, and we have a lady by the name of Tondi Clark on the line, and she is over at the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference. Good morning, Tondi. How are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. You know, right here in the heart of South Central Magic Valley, Idaho, great farmers feeding the world, and irrigation is the key. What's going on over there at the Idaho Irrigation Show and Conference?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked and invited us. We are so excited to be here. Our conference is only in this valley every 3 years, so we hope people will come and see us. And we have 50 booths of irrigation equipment and the experts that know how to use them and use the equipment. Plus, we have wonderful classes, and we have classes for our agricultural side as well as our landscape irrigation side. So we have classes going back to back all day today.
Well, Tondi, it's at a great location, the Burley Best Western Inn and Convention Center at 800 Overland. And I had some calls earlier this morning. Some of the farmers in the area, they said, now, wait a minute, is this event free? There's no registration? They can just walk in the door, right?
Exactly. And I apologize, I have somebody trying to call me right now.
Okay.
But yes, just come in. I will ask you, I'll be at the information desk if you want to fill out a survey to let me know how you hear about this show. Then I will mail you a brochure every year, and that's it. I won't bug you. But other than that, there's no registration, there's no cost. You just come and attend the classes, come and talk to our vendors, and the Burley Best Western and the convention center is just right by the freeway, so it's easy to get to.
You know, the thing is, yeah, it started at 8 o'clock this morning, but I'm absolutely certain with all the different seminars and educational formats, etc., there's still plenty of time for people to get in there, ask questions, learn something at the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference. It's going to last until 4:30 this afternoon, correct?
That is correct. A couple of classes that are coming up that might really interest your listeners is Tom Young with Precision Automation System is going to talk about variable frequency drives. So if you've ever had any questions about them, if you don't have one or you want to get one or you have one and you always have issues with it, this is a great class. We also have Michael McVeigh coming from the Idaho Department of Water Resources, and he's going to talk about impacts from managed aquifer recharge on the eastern Snake River Plain, and that affects a lot of our irrigators.
Absolutely.
So in our special class that I wanted to talk about is Tim Luke with the Idaho Department of Water Resources.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming down to talk about Idaho water measurement standards, and so he'll be doing that class at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And Mike's class was at 11, Mike and Tom. So there's some really good classes. And Zeb, we have some people that have the Idaho private and professional applicator license, and they're always looking for certification credits. We offer those without any fee, and we have one class today at 10 o'clock with Kevin Evans. He's going to talk about backflow basics. And so if you attend that class, you can get a sticker for your license. And then at 3 o'clock, we have Sherm Takatori with the Department of Agriculture. He's going to talk about food safety, pesticide use, and the public. And you can get a credit if you attend his class. So those are some really good opportunities for people to get those recertification credits without having to pay anything.
I'll tell you what.
One more thing with certified crop advisor credits for the people who need those. We have 7 credits available for those.
Okay.
Or actually 3 because you can't attend 2 classes at a time. But you can get some credits for your recertification.
Okay.
So we hope people take advantage of that because some people have to pay quite a bit of money for some of those credits, and we offer them for free.
Absolutely. Now, Tondi, I've got to ask you, what is your position with this Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference? I mean, basically, are you the main person, kind of the quarterback of the whole event?
Yeah, the bylaws call me the secretary, which I think is wonderful because our secretaries do so many wonderful things. Another term is association manager. So I've been doing this for 20 years, Zeb, and I just love these people. They're so good, and they care about their customers, and they love what they do, and there's a lot of expertise at this show. So we just want you to come and see these wonderful manufacturers. Some of them came from Nebraska or Colorado and Oregon, Washington, California, Utah, plus all the local dealers that are members of our association. So, boy, we really appreciate them coming all this way, especially with this wonderful weather we've been having.
All right. The Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference, it's going on right now. Still plenty of time to get in there and visit with the equipment manufacturers, the dealers, the distributors, take in some of the seminars. Last till 4:30 this afternoon at the Burley Best Western Inn and Convention Center, and no registration is required. One final question for you, Tondi. I've got to ask this. I am detecting a little bit of either Wisconsin or Minnesota brogue in your voice. Is that where you're from originally?
Boy, you're kind of good. You're really quick. My dad worked for the federal government. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, and I lived in Amarillo, Texas, San Jose, California, Lansing, Michigan. So there's your Midwest. And I live in Boise now, and I had a mother who grew up in Utah. So how does that give you? Do you love that accent?
Well, I do, and when you salute the flag, you can base
everything. I'm just a mutt dog, I think.
No. Thank you so much for being on our program this morning. On behalf of the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference, Tondi Clark, you're a really nice lady. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb, for helping us promote the show. This is a wonderful event that we're only here every 3 years, so please come and see us today.
All right. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Very nice lady right there, Tondi Clark, with the Idaho Irrigation Equipment Show and Conference going on at the Burley Best Western Inn and Convention Center until 4:30 this afternoon. Get on over there. Very, very good show for irrigation. We got to pay some bills here real quick before we go to Dog Nation, so stay tuned for that. I want to talk a little bit about Let's Ride. I got to run over there right after the program and see those good folks. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the entire world. Oh, my goodness, they are smiling like old Cheshire cats because of all the snow, the angel dandruff up on the mountain and the hills and everything for all the snowmobilers. And, of course, they've got the timber sled systems. You know, that's that snow bike conversion kit that allows you to convert your bike from dirt to snow and back again. They've got all the accessories. They've got snow plows over there. That's what I'm going over for. And they've got a super service department too. All you gotta do is just stop in 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the world. Yes, it is true. This is where the fun is sold. And if you're over in that neck of the woods, the other place I gotta go right after the program too is, of course, my friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Yes, I'm not kidding. Todd and the whole crew over there serving you with all the best of life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning and employee benefits. Much, much more. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you have to do is just call and make an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert. Really, really nice people. Okay, let me see if I I had one other quick note before we go to Dog Nation. I asked the other day, and I'm serious about this, I've got a little project I'm doing. And I wondered if anybody out there in Radio Land, you know, maybe they got them stored away in their attic or whatever, you know, from when their kids were little kids. Do you have any of the old 50s and 60s old cap guns? I don't care if they work. I don't want them all beat up and the handles missing and everything. But if you got some of those, I'd sure be interested. You know, the old Roy Rogers, Hopalong Cassidy, Gene Autry, Rex Allen, whatever you might have. I'm sure looking for some. So if you do, please, I urge you to give me a call on my cell phone, 312-2976. I have no idea whose number I was going to give out. 312-2976. Call my cell phone, leave a message, and I will call you back. I really appreciate it. Where did all these dogs come from anyway?
Let the dogs out! Let the dogs out!
It is time for Minidoka Animal Control, and here is the Dogmeister. Ken Moore, Minidoka Animal Control, good morning, my dear friend.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you today?
I am good. Are you out in the hinterland collecting dogs?
As a matter of fact, I am. I just left an accident site that they had a dog in one of the vehicles, and I'm en route to the vet clinic to get him checked out.
Oh, well, do you have time to talk or not?
I do. Today I actually wanted to talk about our Dessert for Dogs fundraiser that we've got coming up on February 9th.
All right, go ahead, Ken. Tell us about it.
Okay, we are doing a Dessert for Dogs fundraiser. The money we're raising is to help with our vet costs, like our spay and neuter program, plus be able to get some additional capture equipment that we're in need of. Anybody that's interested in entering, we've got a individual entry side, which is going to be judged by our local mayors of Minidoka County and one of the county commissioners. Then we've also got the restaurant side, which is going to be the people's choice for the categories we've got. Anybody that's interested in entering can contact me at 670-7268. And we've also got are looking for corporate sponsors. On that, we've got 4 different sponsorship levels. We've got a $100 sponsorship level, which is our bronze, a $250, which is our silver, $500, which is our gold, and $1,000, which is the platinum. And in each one of these packages, you get event tickets, raffle tickets. Certain packages get you additional radio time when we do our broadcasting and stuff and that we're going to be getting done here very shortly. So again, if anybody's interested in any of that, they can reach me at 670-7268.
Wow, I think you spent all last night rehearsing because that was without a flaw. Excellent job, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Now let's talk a little.
I want to remind everybody while they are out and about and they've got their furry friends, make sure you guys are driving extremely careful because the roads are icy. We have all that melt off we had. It made the roads pretty dang slick out there today, and we want to make sure that everybody out there is being safe and they're keeping their furry friends safe.
Absolutely. Now, do you have any dogs we need to feature this week, Ken?
Actually, we don't have anything to feature this week. Everything that we've got currently in our facility is either been adopted or is headed for rescue by this weekend.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you were actually right now in the process of taking a dog that was involved in a motor vehicle accident to the vet clinic. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
What?
I mean, the people had hit a patch of ice on the interstate and actually rolled the vehicle. The dog has a laceration underneath its eye and blood on its face. So, for all precautionary purposes, we are taking it to the vet to have it checked out to make sure there's no other additional internal injuries or anything like that.
Oh, well, we certainly hope and pray that the humans also involved in that are A-OK. What do you know of the status of them?
That I don't really know. I didn't get up on the accident. The dog, it was about 100 yards away from the accident, and that was just all disoriented and everything. So I got it picked up, got out of there so that they could get the EMS personnel to be able to do their job without having any issues with the dog trying to protect the owner. So,
does this happen on a fairly frequent basis, unfortunately, Ken, to where there are dogs traveling with folks down the interstate, et cetera, and there's an accident? Do you have these kind of calls on a frequent basis?
I average probably 2 or 3 a year. I mean, it's like over this last Saturday, I was contacted by the Idaho State Police. They had an accident out at about 260. A lady had a couple of cats with her as she was traveling. They had to take her to the hospital, so I housed the cats at my house for several hours until she was released from the hospital. But I mean, it's one of those that if there's an accident and there's an animal with them, I get called out.
Well, now, I'm glad to hear that you don't have any dogs to feature this week. It sounds to me like this is almost kind of unusual for this time of the year, isn't it, to basically not have any dogs that are looking for homes?
Usually it is, but we've actually had a pretty good success that when we've got people that are bringing in owner surrenders because they just can't take care of them and things like that, we're with our lady and stuff, and that Gina Allred, who does all of our rescue work. She's actually, on the ball and working on these guys to get them out and get them into a home because staying in a shelter or a pound and stuff and that, keep being cooped up so much. It takes a toll on a dog.
Yeah.
And we like to try to get them out so that they don't get kennel stressed and wind up on that turning to be, instead of being a good dog, winding up becoming on that, I don't want to say a bad dog, but a hard to rehabilitate dog.
I understand. Well, now listen, one more time. I've only got a minute left, but one more time, talk about your dessert function coming up. Give us the time, date, place, etc., and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay, it is on February 9th at the Historic Wilson Theater in Rupert. Doors open at 6:30 and goes to 8:30. Tickets are $15 in advance or $20 at the door. Tickets can be purchased at Ace Hardware in Burley, Hans Hardware in Paul, City of Rupert, Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn, and also at the Wilson Theater.
Okay.
I also carry tickets around with me, so if anybody on that is interested and want to just get a hold of me, they can get a hold of me, and I've got tickets as well.
Ken Mort, Minidoka Animal Control, a good friend and a dear friend to animals. Thank you so much for being on the program.
And thank you, Zeb.
God bless you. Where'd all these dogs come from?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Ken Mort, Minidoka Animal Control, a good old boy, and we salute him and thank him for all that he does along with his staff at Minidoka Animal Control. Absolutely one of the best guys around. Without further ado, I think what we'll do right now is go back to the phone line, and on Thursdays we have a lovely lady that comes on and we discuss politics and everything else surrounding politics, and that, of course, is the lovely Rita Ramsey. Good morning, Rita. How are you?
Morning. I'm real good, thank you.
Did you make it through the cold snap and now the melting and the water and the slush and the mush?
Well, pretty much. After all the escapades Saturday, trying to get heaters to people and unplug vents so furnaces would work in the middle of the night and that kind of thing, yeah, we did.
Oh, my goodness. Well, now, let me just start things off this morning. What about the hearings that are now underway in full swing for some of the nominations for the Trump administration, primarily Jeff Sessions and, of course, Mr. Tillerson? What are your thoughts on what you've heard or seen so far?
Well, I thought that it was quite telling the day before yesterday when they were interviewing and doing the questioning on the confirmation hearings with Senator Sessions. I thought it was quite telling, and I think that there was a guy who was just kind of the big hero that kind of put all the Democrats in their place, and that was Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. I felt like that, Al Franken accused Jeff Sessions of being a racist and doing all kinds of other things, and then if you look at the information and saw the clip of Senator Cruz doing his part, he reminded Al Franken that all he was doing is going by an old article that was written in the 80s, of which had been walked back because the facts weren't true, and obviously Franken didn't either know that or it's like he ignored it, and so he was trying to put information out there that was not true, that was bad, and somebody called him out on it and made him look like a real dunderhead, and I thought that was quite interesting. The information that Senator Cruz gave, I thought that it was quite good. He said, "It's unfortunate to see members of this body impugn the integrity of a fellow senator with whom we have served for years. It's particularly unfortunate when that attempt is not backed up by fact." And then he said, "I support Senator Sessions for Attorney General for the very reason that many vehemently oppose him. Namely, I know and they know that Sessions will enforce the law." And I think that's what the big problem is that he not only has the R behind his name, they're half afraid that he may enforce the law, of which we've had a lawless Attorney General and Law Department in the last 8 years that has just got totally out of control.
I want to say this, though, Rita, and I think that you will agree with me. I think it's time to take the gloves off in a verbal fashion and call people out for what they are. And they are the racists and the bigots. When I watched yesterday on the preliminary stages of the hearing for Jeff Sessions, and I listened to Cedric Richmond, Democrat from Louisiana, get on the microphone and basically complain because he was the last one and he should have been first, and he goes on a rail against Sessions. And then there was, of course, Representative Lewis saying that, oh, the blacks are never going to get treated right again. Oh, it's doomsday. But the final straw that made me so mad, I almost threw one of my Tony Lamas through the TV screen, was New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, that absolutely made nothing out of that yesterday except what he wanted to make out of it for his own gain, possibly running for president in 2020. That's the only reason he got on that Senate testifying committee, to demean Jeff Sessions, was so he could get TV time and make himself look like a potential candidate. Quite frankly, he looked like a jackass.
Well, he really did, and the part that's sad about that is these confirmation hearings aren't about if somebody's qualified or what they will do once they're in there, or if they'll enforce the law, or if they'll take care of whatever they're supposed to be in charge of. And it doesn't matter whether it's Sessions or Mattis or Tiller or any of those others, or Tillerson or any of those others. is that it's all agenda-driven by whether you have a D or an R behind your name. It doesn't matter what you're qualified for or anything else. And that deal with Cory Booker absolutely was him just throwing it out there because, as Mark Levin mentioned, and I think this is absolutely true, Cory Booker is their candidate, their next Barack Obama, and they're just throwing him out there to see if he can get any, dig in his heels and get any traction, and then they'll push him all the way because that's what they had, and they know that, if we put somebody who's black out there and that everybody will vote for him because everybody's afraid not to, and we can get going. And I think that's their only agenda, is to see if they can get somebody out there that they think is going to be the next president.
But if you watch the hearings and the other side of the table with businessmen, lawyers, doctors, politicians, also, by the way, black, they absolutely railed on and on about what a great human being, a professional, and a super Attorney General Jeff Sessions would make. And when they made their comments, they absolutely dismissed and diminished all the other naysayers.
Well, that's exactly right. And the thing of it is when you have black conservatives or black Republicans, they do not qualify as people according to the Democrats. And this has been the Democrat problem forever, is that the Democrats didn't want to recognize that the blacks were regular people and that they should have just the exact same rights that we all did. If you go back in history, clear back to the Founding Fathers, you'll find out that it was the Democrats, the ones that wanted them slaves, and it was the Democrats that wanted to not let them go off of the plantations and everything else. In LBJ's administration, he was going to make the great society, and he was one of the biggest racists that you'll ever read about. And yet his greatest generation is, we're just going to make all these people subservient to us, and then we will always have their vote because we're passing out the goodies and keeping them alive. We're not giving them their freedom or liberty. We're just going to make them so that they're dependent on us, and that's how they do it. And the Democrats are the ones who have been the big racists. And it always makes me kind of smile because I learned this as a 5th grader. I had a friend who said something about another girl, and she said, "You have animals in your house." And it was kind of like, animals in your house? That's terrible. And I went over to that girl's house one day after school, 2 or 3 of us did, and she actually had animals in her house, the one who was accusing the other one of that, which tells you that she was so sad to think that they actually had animals in her house. She was accusing somebody else of it. Well, that's what the Democrats do. They just want everybody to be like they are, so they accuse others of being racist, and they're the worst racists that there are.
Absolutely. When I looked at this situation with these hearings yesterday, it's much ado about nothing. We're talking about some really high-quality people here. I have never met the man, but I've talked to many, many people that do know Jeff Sessions personally, and they said he is an absolute straight shooter. And the Democrats and what they're trying to do, I think, is going to come back to haunt them, much the same as what's happening with the fake news. I've got to ask you about this. I know that you're not a Trump person. I'm not 100% sold on Donald Trump myself, but he is the president-elect for this country. And these fake news stories, one of which that was permeated and started by, I guess, BuzzFeed and then carried on by CNN, I do not blame Trump for losing his temper yesterday during that press conference. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, it's about time that somebody manhandled the press. Nobody has done that since Ronald Reagan. And the others have just kind of let it go, feeling like, oh, well, if I just kind of ignore them, maybe they'll leave me alone, or I don't want to say too much, or they'll get after me. And that's what Republicans do. Democrats are never held to a standard. So the newspaper people, or not necessarily newspaper, the news people that are always asking the questions will never ask the Democrats the hard questions, or ask them how come you were in the White House Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They'll never ask that kind of stuff of Democrats. You get Republicans in there, and they start asking them questions, and then automatically the Republicans strike them down and send them out of office, and we got to get rid of them, that type of thing. And so the Democrats have always got a free, reign. They don't have to do anything. And with George W. Bush, and I loved George W. Bush as a president until he started letting the Congress just get totally out of hand with spending. But he was a really class act, but he never would stand up to the press and do stuff. It'd just kind of be like, well, okay, fine, and he'd just kind of turn and go the other direction, and that was his way of dealing with them. But they tried to destroy him. They've tried to destroy everybody else, and nobody's manhandled him. With Trump the other day saying, you know what, you're not going to get any questions from me because all you have is fake news. You create it in the end. And the guy just kept after him and after him and after him, and he just kept saying no, no, no. And so I felt like that was really important that he do that because somebody's got to get control of the press. They just think that they can elect and kick out or whatever they want, and that they're the will of the people because they have a microphone or ways of getting the news out, and they're not really the ones. The majority of Americans don't feel the same way that the press does, but the majority of Americans feel like that Donald Trump did what he needed to do, and I'm right on board with him on that one.
I am too, and I'll tell you something. Think back, and I know that I don't have to tell you this because you are and this is meant out of politeness, a news junkie like I am. And you can remember many, many of the Obama press conferences, and remember all the people that would sit in the front row, and especially some of the lady reporters, and they would be just like goo-goo-eyed over Obama, and then ask dumb questions like, what's your favorite ice cream? In a world that's coming apart at the seams economically and with terrorism, you ask a leader of the free world what his favorite ice cream is when you have a chance to ask a very important question at a press conference? How much of a vanilla stupid question is that?
Well, it's ridiculous, and it just shows what their agenda is. However, when President Obama would have news conferences and press conferences, and he had very few,
yeah.
If you were to, check against any of the others, but he would have a 90-minute one, and he would answer 6 questions.
Yeah.
The 6 questions
That's right.
he took were from news people who submitted their questions, so that he had exact time to put together a big rant about it that would take a lot of time, so that he didn't have to actually answer questions that could be things that he didn't know the answers to, or that could make him look like a weak president or whatever. So he'd have 6 questions in 90 minutes, and they were questions that they had screened and said, okay, yeah, we'll take the one about the ice cream. That'll be fine. That'll be a good distraction.
Yep, absolutely.
All of his conferences was distraction.
I totally agree with you. Before I do a weather forecast, I want you to comment on the situation with Linda Bean. And she is the CEO right now of LL Bean Company, and I've ordered a lot of clothes, etc., from LL Bean Company. Well, it seems like Linda donated $60,000 to the Trump campaign. And all heck is breaking loose, not only from some of her family members, but also the liberal left, and they want to see Bean Company go out of business. They're asking for a boycott, etc. But here's the caveat, my dear friend. 4 years ago, LL Bean Company donated to Barack Obama, and that was okay. But now that they've donated to Trump, they want the business shut down. Your thoughts?
Well, this is what you do. It's kind of like the chicken fillet thing. Everybody just needs to start buying from them to show them that there are more of us with money than those on the other side. And when they start targeting somebody, we just need to go in full force and let them know that we support them. And I think that where she donated to the Obama campaign, it kind of sounds to me like that she kind of goes down the down the line in whichever one they want to do. So I would say that people need to just go in and start, if you weren't going to buy something, maybe see if there isn't something that you can buy and buy it just to show support so that they don't totally put somebody out of business because of the way that their politics are. Republicans don't do that. They only do that to people who support Republicans.
Yeah, but Rita, it's getting worse every day. You know this is true. I mean, if you don't go along and follow in the gutter with the liberal left, they're going to come after you. They're going to slay your personality. They're going to demean you. They're going to go after your business. We see it every single day in news stories that I carry on this program. The liberal left is incensed that anybody would stand up against them.
Well, that's really true, and that's why, as position that I've taken since Obama was became the president, was that, you know what, we've got to stand together and have our voices heard as one big voice. I can't speak and make my voice be heard, but if there's dozens of us speaking, they'll listen to us. And if people will get together and do something on a big scale, whether it's voicing opinions or whatever, they will hear you. If you don't, they just figure, okay, it doesn't matter, and they just keep going the direction they want, and that's your representatives, whether they're Senate or Congress or even our state ones. They have to hear from big groups.
I agree.
Big group that's saying, that's really only a few people saying, don't buy from LL Bean Company, and they'll think, oh, well, those are the ones that are really making the thing. That's the big group, and the other people can shout with their checkbook or comments or whatever. In this day and age of all the communications that there are, there should be a Twitter war going on with that, and there probably is. And let their voice be heard, that they think it's ridiculous for people to target someone who made a donation.
Absolutely. I'm going to do a weather forecast. Stay with me, Rita. And then when I come back, I want to talk to you about a very serious question that's been raised. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Don't forget the weather forecast right now, brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs. They have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Absolutely the best in tax return preparation, tax planning, payroll services, retirement planning, etc. And they've got 2 locations to serve you: 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs, the very best. Here now is the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Thursday, January 12th. And with the sun shining, the temperatures are dropping, and that's going to be creating some slick conditions out there as we have a lot of standing water in the roadways and just pretty much everywhere. Looks like partly cloudy skies for today, high of 26. Tonight we are looking at a low of 7. Tomorrow, as we head on into the weekend, mostly sunny skies, high of 20, overnight low of 5. For the weekend itself, partly cloudy skies, highs are going to be in the mid-teens, lows in the low single digits, right around 2 degrees. And then as we head on into the work week on Monday, partly cloudy skies, high of 19, overnight low of 3. That is your weather for Zebeth.
Great job, Gina. Thank you, and brought to you by some really intelligent and professional people. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs, serving you and reminding you, time to be thinking about that year-end tax planning, especially before the end of January, getting those 1099s sent out. Don't forget 2 locations to serve you: 1710 Overland and Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs. Rita, this next part that I would like to mention to you, I don't know how much you've heard about this, but Republican Alabama Representative Mo Brooks has come out and said during a radio interview the other day with Laura Ingraham that there is, on behalf of the Democrats, a war on white people. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's really true, and the reason is because white people won't get up and say, you know what, just because you're a different color doesn't mean that I'm bad or that I'm racist. And it sounds to me like that anyone who is talking about the war against white people and how white people are so horrible, they're the racist people. I think that there has been. We knew that it was a war on the white men, the white males. for a long time, and now it's just white people alone because they know if they start, saying racist this and racist that, all of a sudden everybody's, cowering and say, no, don't say that about me, and they just know that they can do it. It's just like a spoiled brat teenager that has divorced parents, and he can use the one against the other, and the one that shouts the loudest is the one that wins. Well, the kid is the one who wins because he doesn't have any accountability for the things that he's doing because mom and dad are at their throats. And it's just absolutely horrible that people won't stand up and say, you know what, that's not who we are, and just because you're a color makes you think that you can say that against us and you don't have any accountability.
You know, what you said about basically conservative right and Republicans not doing anything about it, I want to read you some of his quotes when he said this, and I'm referring to Republican Alabama Representative Mo Brooks. He said, quote, "It's really about political power and racial division, and what I've referred to on occasion as the war on whites. They are trying to motivate the African American vote to vote block for Democrats by using every Republican as a racist tool that they can envision, even if they have to lie about it." You know, there's a lot of truth in that.
Well, there is, and that's the part that's really sad, is there's so many people out there that will say something, and it gets out there, and, we can start with the example of, like, Harry Reid saying that Mitt Romney never paid his taxes. Well, we know that wasn't true, but that sure got a lot of traction in the news media and everything else, and then Harry Reid comes out and says, well, I didn't say he didn't, I just said somebody told me that he didn't. So you just start a big lie, and the news media will pick up on it and go after it. And then if they actually have to retract it, they retract it on the 84th page of the newspaper in a less than a 1-inch piece of information, so you can't even find it. And they say, well, we retracted that, but they can surely put the lies out there. That same thing is happening right now with Donald Trump on the saying that he has ties to Putin. Well, what does he really have? Is somebody just really printing all of that stuff? The big problem is most of the time you have to go in and prove that they're lying.
Yeah.
After they've got it out there and they've done everything else and tarnished you and tried to ruin you, then you can go in and prove to them, and it's kind of like, oh, well, and then they drop it. But meanwhile, the damage has been done, and whether you recover or not is the question, because a lot of times you don't.
And at the end of all of this, when he was being interviewed, and by the way, he put the blame, quite frankly, a lot of the strategy on Barack Obama himself, and he said that the whites are the only race that can be lawfully discriminated against. How would you respond to that?
Oh, I believe it absolutely, because there are no laws that... I was reading the other day in our lunchroom, we've got a thing that says you can't discriminate, you have to post it up there by the state of Idaho, and they had everybody listed on there, but just regular white people.
Yeah.
White people you can discriminate against, all the others you can't. It's the law, and he's absolutely right.
And, really, for a man that has been president for 8 years, the first mulatto president, he could have done a lot to join the races together.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that was what most of the people who voted him in the first time thought, oh, man, this will be so great. We'll have a black president. He can bring the country together. He said he would bring the country together. And that was what he was going to do as president, is I'm not going to just be president of the right or the left. I'm going to be the president of everybody. Well, that's totally not ever happened. And he had an agenda, and his agenda was to start race baiting and start a race war so that there would be all kinds of things. And I think it all goes back to what I've said before, the Cloward and Piven thing. If we just start all of these little infighting and everything else, pretty soon there will be a collapse because there's so much going on, and then we can step in and take over. And they did it in the Baltimore Police Department. They did it at Ferguson, and they've tried it in many other places, that they'll go in and say, well, we have to take charge of this, and because somebody can't dispute it or whatever, and well, we're in the middle of an investigation. and we better take over and be in charge here. It's really sad, but that's just their agenda. They wanted to get this started, and he was a good one because he was black. Whether he was actually ever prejudiced against, I don't know. That's irrelevant because all of the stuff that he did showed that he was just trying to race bait more and more and more.
I agree. Rita, I could go on and on. I enjoy visiting with you every Thursday. I'm flat out of time. Rita Ramsey, God bless you, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We've got Tea Party meeting tonight at 7. Thank you.
God bless you. Thanks, Rita. Appreciate it. Excellent lady to have a conversation with. Thank you very much. Are you hungry, Bunky? Are you starving to death? Well, old Zeber's got some answers for you. How about stopping into the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley? Eggnog shakes, chicken fried steak sandwiches, fries with special sauce, or the famous Farmer Brown burger. It's good eating at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main. Well, how about Taco Bandito? 2301 Overland in Burley. You've got to get in and try the new pork burrito with beans, pork, rice, sour cream, and cheese. Oh, delicious. And then top it off with a pumpkin empanada, just like Granny used to make. You're going to love it. All the food at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. And 2 locations of burgers, etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Do you know that after 3 p.m. in the afternoon, hamburgers for only 99 cents? What? I'm not kidding. And different soups every day, different flavor, Monday through Friday, bread bowl or cup. Oh, my goodness. The food is fantastic. Nice people at Burgers, etc. in Rupert and Burley. Let's move on over to Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Oh, my goodness, a brand new salad at Steve-O's. It's the chicken breast with bacon and all the goodies, along with the buffalo burgers and the delicious soups. And they've got delicious cupcakes over there. You got to try a cupcake at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Last but not least, how's everybody over at Doc's Pizza? Oh, my goodness, 514 6th Street in Rupert. What a great place to have pizza. Specials throughout the week, and they've got all you can eat every Monday and Thursday for just $8. Pizza, breadsticks, salad bar, potato bacon soup. Oh, it's good. Starts at 5 p.m., goes till 9. You're going to love the food and the nice people at Doc's Pizza, 514 6th Street in Rupert. And those are just a few great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. Am I? Woo! Listen, we're going to take a little break right now, and in just a moment send it back over to Wheels at our main studio. Then we're going to come back, and we're going to have Cache County School Days. Debbie Critchfield is going to be our guest this hour. And then our business salute, Juan over to Barry Equipment. And then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to Ark Animal Hospital Dr. Bill about taking care of your animals in the cold weather. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Zeb at the Ranch. Have a good day. Almost forgot to do that. There, we're back on now. Ooh, sometimes the most menial tasks escape me. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, which include Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today at 734-6969. You know, once again, I want to just say this, and if you're not doing anything with them and they're just kind of gathering dust, maybe you want to get rid of them or something, but I've got a little project I'm working on, and it's kind of part of Zeb at the Ranch with our Western heritage and everything. And if you would please check in your attics or whatever, if you've got any of the old 50s and 60s cap guns that your kids used to play with, you know, the old Roy Rogers and Gene Autry and all those Lash LaRues and Hopalong Cassidys and everything. Very unfortunately, my collection was tossed. It was thrown away by my mother back in Wisconsin when she inadvertently just let boxes go out the door, and my little collection was in there, and I really missed that. But I need it for another project. So if you have any of these old cap guns, they don't have to work. Don't worry about it if they don't work or anything. But if they're not too bad a shape and still have the handles on them, I'm still interested. So if you could call me at 312-2976, I'd certainly appreciate it. We are going to get ready right now for a segment that we have every week right here on the program, and it's Cassia County School Days. And I've really, honestly, learned a lot about education, the different categories, departments, and everything. And I really want to give a big thank you to Debbie Critchfield for the excellent job she has done in helping organize this, along with our two sponsors, one being A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and, of course, now is the time to stock up on all the winter clothing. Why? Because it's 40% off. And they've got all the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes and the games, the toys, the puzzles, everything for the family at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley. And also the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. And the number to call to learn out about a lot more how they can save you money on outpatient surgeries like glaucoma surgery and colonoscopies and much, much more. Call them at 677-8888. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, and they bring you Cassia County School Days. Now, I would imagine that lovely lady that we had talked about just a moment ago, Debbie Critchfield, is waiting in the wings and ready to say good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Debbie?
We are good. We're glad to be back in school. How about that?
You know, therein lies a whole bunch of questions, and I know you got the answers and everything, but wow, there is no way that you can plan for such a oxymoron as snow, ice, and freezing, and the next day you're swimming.
Yeah, we've had quite a weather system.
What has happened over there with the Cassia County schools? I mean, you've had to take some snow days or wet days or whatever, but I mean, where are you right now?
Every year, in the calendaring process, we identify, and it's really sort of a lucky guess of sorts. Well, how many snow days should we sort of factor in to the calendar? I mean, we don't want to put in 21 snow days and go 3 weeks longer in school and then never use them that season. And so we've tried to be conservative, anywhere from 3 to 7 days. That's kind of the range. The last 2 years, we factored in 5 days. And so we've used 4, and I can't imagine that we're going to get, I mean, it's only the beginning of January, that we're going to get through the rest of the winter without needing to utilize that last one. So if we need to go over, the decision is based on what's appropriate, not whether or not we've met our allotment or what we think we're going to, how we'll manage it. We want to do the right thing. And if we do need to go over, there's several ways to address that. One of probably the least painful and least noticeable way, we could actually add anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes a day, for the remainder of the year. If we say in February we need an additional snow day, we could, or a couple, we could adjust that way, and that way we don't have to actually go into June.
Let me ask you this, and by the way, as you well know, Galen Smyer, the superintendent, was on our program last week, did a phenomenal job of answering all these questions, but I don't think it would hurt to go over some of these again. When you make a decision to say, no, there will not be school today, who is comprising that list of people that make that decision?
It's ultimately the school board. So Dr. Smyer gathers information from his transportation director, his maintenance director, and then he also visits with local law enforcement and our highway districts and our county folks to see what their expectations as far as keeping roads clear, what they've seen. And actually, Dr. Smyer, I will say that I don't know of any other superintendent in our state that does this. He gets up about 2 in the morning on these questionable days and will actually start to drive the county himself.
Oh, my.
So that he has a first. Not many people know that. And he's been doing that. In fact, he's done it the last several days, concerned about ice and water over the road. And then he formulates with all of the pieces of information that he has a recommendation that then he shares with the school board and then they make the ultimate decision.
Holy smokes, you might have to put an APB out for Galen in the snowdrift.
Selfishly, I'm looking forward to a day where I'm not getting a text message at 4 in the morning about the road conditions, but I have to, good for him. He is very diligent about making sure that our students are safe.
You know, but there's the other side of that nickel, and the one side closed the school. The other side is, I'm sure that there's a lot of pressure put on you by parents not to close the school, not to cancel classes, because therein lies the problem. What are they going to do with their kids that day if they're at work and they can't be home? Isn't that another problem?
Oh, absolutely. You've completely covered it. It's a no-win. We have parents who criticize and chastise us and say, you've put our child in danger, and that's unacceptable. And then we hear feedback from folks that say, the day was perfectly fine. I have to still go to work. I don't get a snow day, and what am I supposed to do with my children and, and child care issues? And so those are, of course, those are factors, but first and foremost, the plan always is, or the expectation is, we want to have school. If it presents itself that we don't think we can safely get a child to and from school that day, or conditions are such that during the day we're worried, then that's the overriding factor.
Isn't it a little different, Debbie, when the concerns are tossed out on the table? Well, I made it to work. There was no problem. But when you have a busload of kids, 35 kids, there's a little bit different worry, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. In fact, could I send the phone calls to you? You're answering the questions and the concerns so well. But absolutely, it is a little bit different. And we don't underestimate the power of extreme cold weather either. And obviously, we wouldn't send children out to recess, especially our elementary kids. We don't worry so much about our junior high school kids. But our little people, we want to be mindful of how they come to school. It's crazy. We have students yesterday, even with all of the wet and all of the cold and everything, that came ill prepared for the day.
No.
Without coats or with in tennis shoes and long pants, and anyway, or what I mean by long, pants that go down below the shoes, and so they are just sopping wet, and so you feel bad for those folks, and so we try to encourage our parents to make sure that, if at all possible, send some boots and make sure they have a coat or a sweatshirt.
Let me ask you about that. I guess I'm from a different generation naturally, but when I went to grade school at a one-room country school, and I'm proud of it, by the way, Curtis Mill Elementary, for all 8 years, and the parents, the kids come to school looking like the Michelin Tire Man or the Pillsbury Doughboy. They were all dressed out with their winter coats and their scarves and their boots and their mucklucks and everything. What happened to parental observance of how these kids are going to school, walking around the bus?
I don't know. That's the magical question. Of course, I feel that we have, most of our parents are very conscious about making sure their child is dressed appropriately. Of course, you always have to enter in the kid factor, that maybe how a kid actually exits the home looks a little bit different than how their mother last looked at them. Sometimes kids think, I'm not going to need all this stuff, and throw it off. And, some just, I don't know, in the busyness of the morning, just maybe aren't thinking throughout a day of, my kid's going to be outside several times for recess, or having to come in and out of different buildings.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask about, when I saw your sheet that you had sent me, you mentioned recess. Now, maybe I'm way off base when I say this, but I would imagine with the cold, frigid temperatures and the ice on the ground and or the pavement and or the parking lot, you got to be a little careful about turning Johnny and Susie out to run and play and all of a sudden bump their noggin, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And you can imagine the playground equipment is frosted over, and so going down the slide is a whole new experience. Ooh. And so the schools recognize, and I think we all recognize, that time away from being seated in a classroom, it's so important for kids to kind of burn off that nervous energy and to be able to be active. And so it is a different scenario when the weather is like what it is. And I know it's not that cold today, but most of our playgrounds are covered in water.
Right.
And so our elementary schools are very creative and resourceful in coming up with activities that kids can do so they can get those regular break times. But they'll open up their gym and get some of the equipment out. I was in Declo yesterday, and Declo Elementary had several carts in the hallways at lunchtime that were loaded with games and puzzles and other activities that children could just come and get something off of the cart and go with their friends to, maybe a corner of a classroom and play checkers or, do something that's different than their schoolwork.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about, too, is that with the snow and the ice conditions, as they change during the day, let's say that you have school, and then all of a sudden a blizzard comes in, and the ice and the snow and everything, and you make a midday decision to cancel school and send these kids homes, what do you do in that case?
And those are the most difficult times because we have to get a hold, especially for elementary children, we've got to get a hold of parents. We just can't ship kids home. We don't live in a time anymore where you have an expectation that every single mom and dad is going to be home receiving their child. And so before once that decision is made, and those things are taken very seriously, then there is a real effort by teacher and principal and secretaries to physically contact every parent to either make sure that someone will be there or that their child is taken care of.
Okay. Now, I have not had a chance to drive all over the area, but I can tell you some of the water conditions that I've seen and the ice conditions are absolutely unbelievable. What is the status primarily for the Cassia County School District with a lot of these schools with maybe a concave playground that's next to a field where it's draining? What's the situation? Who are the worst and who are getting by?
I think as far as playground and the ground, the Raft River Malta area, Raft River Schools Malta, they have a ton of flooding, and especially the neighborhood that's to the north of Raft River High School. We were out there yesterday looking at various things, and the high school kids actually were asked by the town to come and help sandbag in the neighborhood, and that's where it pays off to have some great hardworking kids that know how to do those things, and the principal and the student body went out and were able to do that in the neighborhood. We've been fortunate that our actual facilities themselves have seen minimal to no damage as far as the water is concerned, but we definitely have, parking areas, and again, out in Declo, the field that is to the east of Declo Elementary, it looks like a lake. It's just completely covered in water.
What about and I've only got about a minute left here, Debbie, but what about the construction projects that are underway? Has the water, the weather, anything damaged or kind of backed up some of the construction projects?
Backed up is probably the best explanation. We've got 4 job superintendents working for Star Corporation overseeing in those different communities that have a lot of anxiety over not being able to keep the schedule that they've been able to keep. The bitter cold keeps them from being able to do things, and certainly the wet. And so you've got a lot of folks that are praying for the sun to stick around and some things to improve so that they can get back to their regular schedule. But we're happy to report that there's not been any real damage of any sort to the new facilities.
Okay, so is there anything else that we have not covered for this morning that you'd like to get out in front of the public?
I can't think of anything. We just appreciate the opportunity to kind of explain the process of when and how we close schools, and that it's always our interest to keep kids safe. It's not just about educating them, but we take a lot of pride in the fact that once they step on the bus and in the morning and until we deliver them home in the evening, that we want to make sure that they're well cared for.
You mentioned a few moments ago that you were going to try to direct some of the parents' questions to me. Debbie, we are friends. Don't do that.
I would love to enlist a partner. I had one evening before we had canceled school. We were still, checking to see what the conditions were going to be. I had 125 messages of folks wanting to have information. And so we're encouraging people to go to our website, and we always post any changes to school there.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I just think the world of this lady. She does a great job. Debbie Critchfield, thank you so much, and you are a real asset to education and the Cassia County school system as the information officer. God bless you and have a great day. Thank you.
Stay dry over there.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Nice lady right there, Debbie Critchfield. And, of course, Cassia County School Days brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley and the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. Oh, my goodness sakes, we're going to run right now back to the telephone, and what was that, Wheels?
I was just going to say that I am getting Wong on the phone right now. The lady at the front desk is just trying to get him for me.
Well, very good. While you're waiting, I'll do a quick commercial. How's that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to remind everybody about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More with the big inventory crunch. What does that mean? They're having a clearance sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and you can save up to 75% store-wide. I am not kidding you. Jason and the rest of the folks over there, super nice people at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 12 months interest-free financing available. They're sacrificing all the clearance items at drastically reduced prices. Mattresses, they've got great prices on those. Your furniture, your bedroom sets, your power recliners at prices you can't afford to pass up. Get in there today. Absolutely the big inventory crunch at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. They are waiting to serve you. Right now, we're going to try it again. We're going to go back over to Barry Equipment and Rental and the location at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Juan, how are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
What's going on over there at Barry Equipment and Rental?
Well, currently, right now, we're sending out a bunch of pumps out. Pretty sure you've seen all the water getting in the houses, so we want to go ahead and help you guys out and come rent you a pump.
You know, let me ask you this. How in the world would you or anyone else with Barry Equipment and Rental, how do you know how many to put in stock and have available when you've had such a demand like you've had the last couple of days?
Well, we always try to stay stocked up for our customers, and we'll always stay ready for our current customers and any new face that wants to come through and just rent anything they want.
Okay. And now, along with all the pumps to get rid of this water and everything else, let's talk a little bit about equipment. Now, I understand that with all the snow and the mud and the yuck and everything else, you've got some Doosan loaders for dairies and feedlots that are slightly used with less than 500 hours on them. Tell us a little bit about that.
And then, yeah, we have some loaders that have less than 500 hours on it, but in great shape. And we keep them looking pretty brand new. But we got hay forks, and what is really needed right now is the buckets. We got some pretty big buckets that move around all that snow.
Okay, so literally the equipment to get any job done right. And I had a friend of mine call the other day, too, and he wanted to find out about those bobcats, the little skid steers to clean out the corrals and everything. Oh, yeah, it's a mess. Have you got plenty of those available?
Absolutely. We got them standardly set up with the bucket, and we also have a broom, because brooms also help remove the snow. You know, after the snow that gets ran over and it's hard to get rid of.
Right.
Well, these brooms go ahead and kick the snow out, and it angles to any direction, and they're really neat to use.
Well, now, didn't you, I think I was advertising a couple of days ago about how you had a lot of the used Bobcat equipment that was going to be on sale at prices that were absolutely low. Wasn't that the truth?
Absolutely. When we can go ahead and send a skid steer out for a rental a couple of times, but after that, if you want it, it's ready to go.
Okay. And you got a great selection.
Yep, anything in any size.
Now,
any attachment you need.
Okay, now the interest was absolutely unbelievable. 0% interest on 48 months, is that correct?
Correct. And we actually been having our salesman, he's been traveling all around the Mendocino area, and he's actually here at our store, and he's ready to talk to you and get you going on a new skid steer. Okay, now, as we look at possibly, we're just not even in the middle of winter yet, with more snow and yuck and everything else. You want to remind everybody that if we have more snow, that's going to mean more melting, and that's the place to go for the pumps and everything else, right? Correct. We'll get you set up and get you going.
Okay, now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, what about all the other locations? You're right there at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, but now does the Jerome location and the Twin Falls location, do they offer the same equipment?
Yep, they offer the same equipment, and they're also already stocked up and ready to go. And if you go to any of our stores and they don't have something, we'll make sure we'll call all our other stores to get you set up and get you going.
Okay, now, what about the location, the address locations, and also the times that you're open?
All our stores are open at the same hours, and our store in Twin Falls is off 465 Addison, right by the old hospital.
Okay.
We also have our Jerome location, and all you have to do is just take the first exit going into Jerome.
Okay.
It will be...
I'll help you out.
It's 2331 South Lincoln Avenue.
Absolutely. Now, let me also ask, and I need to get over there. I'm going to talk to you about one of those little bobcats. But you've got a little playground out behind, kind of a sandbox, where people, if they've never driven any of this or operated any of this equipment, you'll teach them how, right?
Absolutely. And that pit is full of snow right now. Snow and ice, and we can go ahead and put you to some tests and have you have some fun back there.
Okay. Juan, thank you so much for being on our program. You're a good guy, as all the folks are at Berry Equipment and Rental. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley. Oh, by the way, Juan, who's your favorite pro football team?
Kind of embarrassed to say it, but I'm a San Francisco 49er fan.
Oh, gee, you won one game this year, did you not?
We won 2.
Oh, I see. How dare I forget that other game?
Yeah, but we're cheering for the Packers now.
All right, well, you chose a good team, my friend. God bless. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. Juan over at Berry Equipment and Rental. They do have all the equipment you need to get the job done right. Whew, it's been a busy morning. Right now, we are about ready to send this back over to our main studios. And then when we're coming back in about 5 minutes or so, we're going to have an interview with Dr. Bill over at Ark Animal Hospital. And, you know, this is a really serious, dangerous time of the year for animals with the cold and the frigid temperatures and the ice and everything else. We're going to talk to him about taking care of your animals. So right now, Wheels is going to take it away at the main studio.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And I'm honored for this next little 15-minute segment to visit with a gentleman that absolutely is one of the nicest people I've ever met. And that's Dr. Bill Fulcher over at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. Good morning, Dr. Bill. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing this morning, partner?
Well, I tell you what, I've made it through, I think, the worst part of the cold, the snow and the ice. However, there's probably more on the way. I can take care of myself. I know when to stay in the warm by the fire, but what about our four-legged friends, our animals? Do people kind of neglect the care that they need in the wintertime?
Absolutely, partner. They got number one requirement that they don't address as much as they should is the water consumption problem. They chip holes in the water trough and let the horse go drink, but it's froze over, and as cold as it's been in the last week or so, it's froze over within 10, 15 minutes, and so the horse never gets any drinks of water. He ends up eating a feed like hay that is 90% dry matter. So they have an absolute requirement of more water in the winter than they do in the summer.
Well, absolutely. And then therein lies the problem for compaction or colic or whatever. I mean, you're aiding and abetting more problems by not supplying a better water source, aren't you?
Exactly. And if you think about it, the horses drink about a half a gallon per 100 pounds a day. And so that you've got to have an adequate water supply, or you will sooner or later you're going to see me, Zeb.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it just goes with the care. But what about the water sources? I mean, a lot of people, like you said, they'll just go out and say, "Well, I got to break ice for the old gray mare." Well, listen, that doesn't cut the cake, like you said, especially in these severely cold days. It's frozen over in a matter of minutes, and it's not that expensive to get those electric water heaters, is it?
No, it is not. And the temperature on a horse, as soon as it goes below about 32, the horses will not drink that cold water. They'll drink it very, very sparingly, because you could imagine you going out and taking a drink of that ice cold water. You probably wouldn't drink what you're supposed to.
Now, what about the symptomatic, what to watch for? If your horse isn't getting enough water, I mean, boy, if you're any kind of a animal lover and owner, you've got to be aware of what can happen and what might happen. And when it leads to colic or something else like compaction, there's a good chance you're going to lose that animal.
Absolutely. The first signs you generally see is they're off feed. They may be pawing at the ground, looking around at their stomach, falling down, getting back up, trying to roll. These are signs you better get a vet out there and let him take a look at your pony.
You know, Bill, let me ask you this. We've talked a little bit about horses, but let's talk about some of the other larger animals, whether it's sheep, whether it's cattle, whatever. Any other practices that in these severely sub-teen temperatures that we've had, what do they need to be aware of?
Well, cattle, again, need water. You know, you can't be relying on them. Now, they will drink cold water. But these people that on the range that think they can get by with just snow, cattle cannot. Our sheep cannot get by with just snow. You know, a normal lactating animal, cow, or non-lactating, will drink 8 to 10 gallons a day. But if they're lactating, they're gonna go up to about 15 gallons a day.
Okay. So we need the water, but what about the feed itself? I mean, do you still try to maintain the same feed levels, or do you up it a little bit because of the need for more calories and more protein?
Well, what you do, Zeb, is normally they're feeding them about 3 to 4% of their body weight a day in hay, dry matter. When it gets cold like this, you have to bump it up to 6 to 7 to 8% of their body weight, or else they just will not keep warm. And that's when we see a lot of abortions and stillbirths, because the cow, mama will, it's the survival of the fittest. She'll survive and get rid of that calf.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, dogs. I want to talk a little bit about dogs because, boy, I tell you what, my wife and I, that's a soft spot for us, along with the horses and the cattle. But dogs, it just breaks my heart to see how some of these people just leave them out on a chain. They virtually don't have anything but maybe a wooden shed that only has one side, or a little hut. There again, they need the water. They need the warmth. Talk about dogs a little bit.
Well, the dogs are a major concern of mine, too, because we're seeing a lot. That week that it got below, like over here in Hayburn, it was minus 27. We are seeing frostbite, and if these dogs go out and get wet at all from the snow melting a little bit during the day or something, they're so susceptible to frostbite. And then again, you've got to increase their amount of feed. You know, if you're feeding them a bowl, feed them a bowl and a half twice a day, or for criminy sakes, when it gets that cold, Zeb, just get them in the house.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or at least have adequate protection that you can fill with straw. They can get in out of the elements, kind of snuggle down, hunker down, and get through the bad cold days.
Yeah, get them out of that. And you got to have a windbreak, too. When the wind over here in Hayburn, probably over in your place, too, when it blows out of the east, it's bitter.
Oh, my goodness.
It's so cold, it'll suck the heat right out of you. And then also, you need something if you got a concrete kennel for them. Got to get them up off that concrete.
Absolutely. Bill, you know, of all the things that you've done in your history of being a veterinarian, I mean, what are some of the absolute, I guess, don't do type things that people don't take care of their animals? What's your number one concern?
Number one concern in dogs is just ignoring them, having the kids go out and feed them and try to break the water for the dogs. And it's the same thing for dogs outside. They have those heated troughs.
Yeah.
I mean, those heated water bowls that you can make sure that the dog has water.
Yeah.
My concern that way, I'm concerned about the amount of food and the shelter for these dogs. And that's when we start seeing a lot of basically starvation cases coming in. They can't understand why the dog's not eating well. When was the last time you fed him?
Yeah. Now,
my son feeds him.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the procedures and methods necessary to maintain a healthy animal. What about the worming and everything else? That needs to be done when and how often?
What we do is we examine and vaccinate all of our dogs, and at the same time worm them at least once a year, depending on what purpose they're doing and what they're about. But the main thing that we want to get into them is that wormer and the vaccine, because there's a lot of parvo still out there. And I don't want to say anything about anybody's vaccine, but some of the feed stores and stuff, I don't think they take care of their vaccine, or the people don't take care of it.
Okay. And when
they get it into the animal, and they come and they think the animal's protected, and they bring it in here, and it's breaking with parvo or distemper or something like this.
When
good thing. What I would suggest is that you get your vaccine from a source like a veterinarian, or someplace that really knows how to take care of vaccines.
Absolutely. You know, the thing that bothers me is I hear this all the time. Well, we're going to go get a pony. We're going to go get a little horse. We're going to go get our kids involved in 4-H. We're going to go get a steer. Hey, before you go get involved in the livestock business, you better learn the do's and the don'ts and how to take care of them, or it's going to be a wreck. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure, Zeb. We all have that problem all the time. They get the horse and the little girl a horse, and then she gets that so they can grow up together. Well, you want to sour a little child on a horse, get her one that's bucking and mean and everything. You should get her one of these bulletproof horses that's 10 years old.
Amen.
You know, so she don't get hurt, so she grows up with that love of horses. And then when she gets older, maybe get her a younger horse to try to train and break herself.
But, you know, Bill, I've said this for a long time, that there needs to be more information printed or somehow available to families to understand the costs, the maintenance costs on the feed, the watering, and the medical, the veterinary care. Because a lot of people think you can just buy the animal and it's all going to fall into suit with that price on the purchase. It's not. It's going to be a continuing, ongoing cost.
Exactly. And then a couple of years ago, when the hay was over $200, that sold a lot of horses.
Absolutely. Bill, you've been in practice for a long, long time. Why did you want to become a veterinarian?
Well, I wanted to be my own boss. But I grew up on my grandpa's pig farm, actually, back in Illinois. And I was always the one that got to go out and help castrate pigs and whatever, you know. And I kind of always liked animals. And then after I got back out of the Marine Corps, I went in the Marine Corps for 4 years. But after I got out of there, I decided I really did not want anybody telling me what to do. And then I got married, and that changed. But then I could say I love animals, but everybody can say that. I think basically I wanted to help people with their animals.
Right.
I think that's what kind of person I am.
Bill, has being a veterinarian, has it changed as far as the education, or is when you went to Colorado State University, is it much the same as it was, or are there a lot of transitions in the industry?
Well, things are advancing so much, Zeb. We just hired a new associate, Dr. Liz, here, and the stuff that she learned in school, it wasn't even on the horizon when I was in school. The medicine is advancing so fast. I can't believe some of the things that they're teaching now. My son is going to graduate this spring from Washington. He just called me actually a few minutes ago and told me that he passed his national boards, which is tremendous.
Right. Bill, what about the prerequisites to be a veterinarian? I mean, some people want to stay with the smaller animals, the dogs, kitty cats, and then others want to go to the larger animal practice. But you folks over at Ark Animal Hospital are a service to both, aren't you?
Yes, sir, we are. And in vet school, I guess it's even... when I went through vet school, we didn't get to track like they do now. In vet school, they can track either large animal and do mostly large animal medicine, or they can track small animal and do mostly small animal. See, that wasn't even an option when I was in vet school, but now we get a lot of specialized people coming out. And I guess you could go mixed, but it's really hard for some of these new graduates to do so.
I've got a question that I've wanted to ask for a long time about veterinary medicine. Do you, as veterinarians, have the same restrictions and waiting periods on various disease-preventing drugs or something like that, the same as humans? Does it have to go through a long testing period before it can come on the market?
Absolutely, Zeb. In fact, a lot of the drugs are, tell all the PETA people out there to close their ears, but a lot of the testing is done on animals first before it gets to the human side.
Right.
But it takes about the same amount of time to get a drug that we can use on dogs as it does on humans. And we do have the same restrictions. And that's why when some of these people, they call and want us to just send something home for them, if we don't have a client-patient relationship, we can't do it. We can't just send you something like that.
What about the industry and the job itself? Veterinary medicine, is it still in demand of good quality people getting involved, or what's the situation there?
Well, unfortunately, the pay scale in veterinary medicine has not kept up with the times, so to speak, if you want to call it that. And so a lot of people, we're seeing a lot more women in veterinary medicine. And so because of that, the males are not even applying to vet school. Like my class was like 90% guys when I graduated in 1980. My son's class here is going to graduate in 2017. His class is 90% women.
Oh, my. Really?
And so, the guys are just not, because it's not as lucrative, they don't make as much money. They don't feel like that with the higher cost of education especially. They don't feel like they can go into vet medicine because we spend 4 years in pre-vet and then 4 years at vet school. Mm-hmm. And they don't feel like they're going to make enough money to ever pay that loan back. So a lot of them just are not going into veterinary medicine.
What about your practice over there at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn? I know that you've got a lady by the name of Dr. Liz Schrepfer that's there as an associate veterinarian. You've got a great friendly staff. How long has Ark Animal Hospital been in existence?
Since 1988. However many years that is.
And
we are, the community has been such a joy for us that I would like to practice another 30 years. I don't know if that's possible or whether the girls will throw me out or not.
Well, I certainly want to say thank you for coming on our program, Dr. Bill Fulcher at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Hayburn. I love the slogan. They have warm hearts for cold noses. Dr. Bill, God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
God bless you too, Zeb. Thank you, partner.
You betcha. Take care. Thank you very, very much.
Bye-bye.
I enjoyed that conversation, and I hope a lot of people listen. You got to take care of your animals. They depend on you. Make sure you give them the best, okay? We've got a weather forecast to get in here. Excuse me for choking. And excuse me, boy, when I started, I wasn't going to quit. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. And yesterday I made that comment again about the oven-ready marinated prime rib. It is fantabulous. Get a hold of Scarrows Meats today. Call Don. Tell him I told you to call at 324-7657. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Thursday, January 12th. And with the sun shining, the temperatures are dropping, and that's going to be creating some slick conditions out there as we have a lot of standing water in the roadways and just pretty much everywhere. Looks like partly cloudy skies for today, high of 26. Tonight we are looking at a low of 7. Tomorrow, as we head on into the weekend, mostly sunny skies, high of 20. Overnight low of 5. For the weekend itself, partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-teens, lows in the low single digits, right around 2 degrees. And then as we head on into the work week on Monday, partly cloudy skies, high of 19, overnight low of 3. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job. Her and Scotty always with the best of weather forecasts. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. I have a meeting to be in attendance at 11:30, so I have to get out of here a little bit early and then down the highway. Well, not that way. I got to be careful. It's slippery out there. And we're going to leave a few minutes early, and so Wheels is going to cover for me for just a little bit here. But before I leave, I want to remind you, don't forget that your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers have all the tires for the wintertime driving on the snow, the ice, the muck, and the yuck. They've got them all. The Himalaya WS2 or the Observe GSI 5. All of these tires, great traction tires for you. That's right. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. They've got all the tire chains. They've got all the batteries. Be sure and have your battery checked. You don't want to be left stranded in these cold days. And, of course, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and brake service. The best. And, of course, the 7 locations include Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I want to say how much I appreciate all of you folks, all your calls, all your opinions on this show. We certainly appreciate what you do every day, Monday through Thursday, as we go live on 1230 KBAR at, of course, on the listing, 1230 a.m. And then, of course, Zeb at the Ranch, and we're zebbell.com. Internet all over the world. So thank you very much, everybody. Be careful out there. Going to get cold, stay cold, and slippery, and ice conditions, so drive carefully this weekend. And my dear friend Wheels over at our main studios is going to pick it up right now, play a couple of tunes. I'm headed for a weekend. God bless all of you. See you Monday at 8:06.